Hey, what's up, sports fans? Welcome back to another episode of Sports, of course, with your pals Jonah and RPF. We've got some great stuff on the docket today. The Bears notched their first win of the season. Rollercoaster Bills lose overseas. The Ravens run into a steel trap. And I think it's safe to say the Cowboys are not who so many thought they might be. Got a lot to get into. RPF, my friend, how are you doing on this fine recording session?
With all the possible storylines, I can't get past a certain play on a Saturday night. This past Saturday night.
We'll talk Saturday night, not a Sunday. A Saturday night. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, I myself, as a Patriots fan, am on suicide watch, so...
Well, first of all, the fact that you still acknowledge that you're still a Patriots fan.
Well,
it's like, it's half the battle.
Right. Well, I was. You didn't give me enough time. I was going to say, however, my Lions had an outstanding 42-point victory. Anyway, we've got a great show for you today. You can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast: Apple, Spotify, all the great platforms. You can find us socially on Instagram and X, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. Just head over to any of those platforms, type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF into the search bar, and we'll pop right up for your listening pleasure. Without wasting any more time on our loaded slate, let's get right into Week 5 recap. Let's go all the way back to Thursday night, where the Bears, yes, I said it, the Bears put up 40 points against the Commanders' 20 to take home their first victory. RPF, what are your thoughts on the Bears after this victory? Does it change?
It does. And I have to give credit where credit was due. You've always had this kind of, you actually hinted that this could be the breakout game for the Bears. They can't lose every game. The Commanders are coming off this emotional.
I did. Yep.
And you nailed it. I was not convinced. I mean, this is to me a kind of a low key upset of the week in a sense, because not only did they win, the Bears put two halves together. Well, at least they put the first half again, because last week they had a great first half and lost the second half. But this week they had a great first half, almost blew the second half, but then rallied at the end. It became good again. So I mean, who knows? I mean, if this is a foreshadowing of things to come, and if, they're kind of like less than impressive hopes for their future QB can really snap out of it. But I think right now, I mean, you really nailed it. It looked like the Commanders were flat from the week before against the Eagles, and the Bears looked like they took advantage, and, good for them.
Yeah, it changes my perspective a little bit of the Bears. The only hesitation I have is I don't know if DJ Moore can keep up 8 receptions for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I'm going to say
going forward. So the Bears won, but it was also kind of a DJ Moore win, if you will. But
if I'm DJ Moore, I'm retiring. You know what? It doesn't get better than that.
For myself, here's the underlying sadder storyline for me. So with the Bears' victory, they now get out of the defeated ranks now, which is only left to the Carolina Panthers at 0-5. My beloved Patriots are now, third. They've given up. They've been outscored 72-3 in the last 2 games. Right? It's been 38-3, and then 34-0. 34-0 this past game. I'm going to pose a question that makes me want to vomit. But I got to pose it. Are the Patriots the worst team in football?
Yes. And here's the thing. I mean, not to pile on, because I want a happy Jonah for this podcast. I'm not.
Well, we're going to get to the Lions. Don't worry about it.
I'm not threatened by I mean, the Dolphins are not threatened by the Jets or the Patriots now because of any. So I'm very happy if they win, because in fact you're in a better mood. Everything, the world's okay. But when you lose 34-0, and I'll say this with all the concern in my heart, to the Saints.
Yeah. The
fucking Saints.
Yeah.
At home.
I know.
At home. With the greatest coach of all time. This is my question. My question is not that. The Patriots are clearly the worst team. which is the sad part.
Yeah.
But how is Bill Belichick not fired? And I'll say it out loud.
Well,
no. Listen. He had 300 wins. It was going to be. I read 3 articles this past off season how Belichick's going to coast past Don Shula to become the all-time greatest coach, most winning coach, and he's at 300. Yeah. Shula's at 347. So I'm making 47. That's 5 good seasons, And I'm thinking,
no, I think he's only got like 29 to go to catch him.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, okay. All right. So anyway, the point is that he's not there yet. He won't get there for 2 or 3, 4 years. Is he going to be a Patriots coach? That's my question.
Okay. Well, yeah, you might be teasing something I got down the road here, but here's the deal. I fired? No. It's a situation. It's a situation where I just don't think that happens. It's a situation where like Joe Torre leaving the Yankees. But
is he going to go 1-15 and not get fired?
Well, here's my
1-6. No, 1-16.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing. I don't think he'll get fired. But I do think that questions start to get raised, and if the agreement or whatever it is, if it's one of those like both parties decide to part ways type of things. But anyway, we're gonna get into that a little bit down the road. But okay. Yeah. Moving on to our next, I had to pose a question, and you gave me the answer that I had deep in my heart too. I just didn't want to admit it, and you admitted it for me. So it's kind of like AA. I got to admit it, and then I got to the grieving process.
The first step to healing is admitting the truth. Yes, Mom, I pushed that vase over and broke. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is so we have a box of my wife and I, a box of Patriots gear that we kind of pack away and put away for the summer and everything. And then we get it out every season, and I hadn't gotten it out yet. Things have been busy, and it's just like
the big plushy lion just came in the mail from Amazon.
Like every weekend when we sit down, we're like, oh, where's the box of Patriots stuff? I'm like, I'll get it. And then I went to our storage unit to get some like Halloween decorations. And while I'm at our storage unit, I see the box labeled Patriots gear, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I don't even want to bring it home.
You know what it is?
That's bring this home.
Conversely, that's a really scary Halloween outfit.
Oh. Just going as a Patriot.
Go as Bill Belichick.
Oh man. Anyway. All right, let's move on here. We got our next headline game I've got for us is the London game, the international game. We had the Jags as I predict the Bears. We had an RPF prediction of the Jags taking down the Bills, in which they did 25-20 over in London.
Called it.
You called it. RPF. Not only did you call it, what the hell is wrong with the Bills? Like the roller coaster Bills. They look so awful, and then so good, and then so awful. I can't.
Here's the worst part. And to your point, the Bills lost to a Jags team that wasn't firing on all cylinders. I mean, the Brett girl was completely inconsistent. It was not even. It was not. It was. Dare I say it? It wasn't exciting.
Etienne
Josh Allen
finally broke out, didn't he?
Yes. That happened. That had to happen for
something had to happen. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I was sitting there thinking, why am I watching this game? And I realized, oh yes, but I'm going to be right. And sure enough, and I don't know. I just felt it. The Bills have this thing that they don't. Once they beat up on the Dolphins, they literally always lose the next week. And the Jags had beaten them 2 seasons earlier in the same type of situation, where it was shocking that Josh Allen does not enjoy, for some reason, that defense. And I don't know. It was just he was. I mean, this is the thing. As Joe Burrow looked so bad the whole year, and the Bills were unstoppable looking against the Dolphins, the inverse was true this past week. Burrow became Burrow again. Thank God he found Chase for his sake. And Chase, he found it. Chase went from 0 touchdowns to 3 touchdowns in 1 week. So, and then you have Josh Allen.
Well, he told me he's always open, so.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta get the message out, right? So, gotta get the message. Hey, yo, bro, I'm here. The word Chase, I deliver to the bank. Get it, Chase Bank.
Got it.
Oh God, that's so bad. Okay, so the point is that I'm personally happy that Josh Allen and Burrow, for different reasons, are out of the contention for best quarterback discussions this year. And Mahomes, by the way, we'll get to, didn't look great either. So, I mean, good enough, but not great. So, and the Chiefs are like literally one hamstring away from not being a contender. So they're all hanging on by fingernails.
It's true. And they don't have the depth to lose anyone.
The depth, they barely have the team to do it. So,
correct.
I mean, when Kelsey, well, we'll talk about that, but it was like when Kelsey didn't play the first game, they lost to the Lions at home.
Yeah.
So imagine if Kelsey.
Well, the Lions are amazing. I mean, they're probably the best team there is. It's because they're my favorite team. So.
Well, all right. Your new Amazon purchase plushie lion mascot has arrived. Yes, you should bring a plushie lion with you on set.
Maybe next week.
I told you before the season, I love Dan Campbell as a coach. I love that dude. Yeah, he was a former interim coach for Miami Dolphins. I think he's going to be the coach of the year. I'm really happy for them. Genuinely happy for them, and I think it's going to be fun to watch.
And just a little tease, they have their game this week is bulleted as one of my games to watch. So
yeah, for sure. And Goff is like, no, I'm coming back this year. So he's, Goff is a quarterback in case you guys don't know.
Jeez. As I've said before, if you don't know, you shouldn't
listen.
The wrong podcast.
I will tell you, half our listeners are telling me that they don't even like sports. They just like us beating each other up.
All right, fair.
I can see your cheat sheet in front of you.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at because I didn't look at the stats for this London game. I had a tied up Sunday, but I dive into the box score, and it's like, hey, Trevor Lawrence, 315 yards. It's no slouch. Yeah. Etienne obviously had his breakout with 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. Calvin Ridley had 122 receiving. So I'm looking at their offense. The offense looked fine, and then I go over and I look at Josh Allen, at 359 with 2 touchdowns. He had an interception. Absolutely zero running game.
That's what I'm saying. He dropped back every single play.
But then you got he had 2 receivers at 100 yards plus. So I'm looking at their offense and I'm like, well, okay, what's the deal here? And then I go over to team stats and I'm like, oh, okay. Time of possession.
Yeah.
Jaguars, 38 minutes and 12 seconds. So almost 40 minutes. Buffalo Bills 21-48, so almost 20, so 40-20 almost. I mean,
2-1,
double,
2-1, yeah,
2-1. That is.
That's the strategy.
Utterly
keep them off the field. Yeah. The problem with the Dolphins game last week is that they scored 2 touchdown drives in the first quarter in about 10 seconds, and Josh Allen was like, "Okay, hold my beer."
It's.
But the question we're not asking, the question that we're insulting. That we're actually insulting a whole robust fan base in northern eastern Florida. That's in Jacksonville, by the way. Is that we're not giving them the props to say are they back, because that's been the buzz preseason that the Jags are going to be contenders,
and I think my honest answer to that is I can't say that yet because
we'll see. We'll see the answer.
I know it's the Bills. I know you beat the Bills, but they're so roller coaster. I have no doubt the Bills are still going to. So what are they? They're 3-2 now. They're still going to go. They're going to lose maybe.
I'll put it a different
games.
way. I'll put it to you a different way. If the Bills and Cowboys end up in Super Bowl, not that many people would be shocked. If the Bills and Cowboys
I might be.
If the Bills and Cowboys go 8-9, no one would be that shocked, because it's that type of season. The Bills and Cowboys are both the Jekyll and Hyde teams of each conference.
That's
it's
true.
Just bizarre.
That's a good point. Speaking of a lesser,
by the way, I make plenty of good points. I just want you.
Right, yeah.
I want the acknowledgement that
as you make that own point yourself too. A slightly lesser Jekyll and Hyde. We have the Ravens. The Ravens get taken down by the Steelers. They only put up 10 points to the Steelers' 17, which now puts the Steelers in first place. in the NFC.
AFC
North.
I'm taking the hit on this one. I think I may have overhyped the Ravens, and I may have seriously underhyped the Steelers. Because the Steelers always get overhyped by everyone else. I don't think I have a need to kind of push them up. But listen, to beat the Ravens, to take them down the way they did, and I watched that game as well. On both sides of the ball, the Steelers were playing football, and again, these teams that have this hero complex that people you couldn't even tell that the fans, everyone that was like a Raven fan, just waiting for Lamar to do something, and it was like when you put all your eggs in that basket may break. The eggs may break at times, because it's the same thing that's happening with the Chiefs. The same thing's happening with it's all or nothing. It's this kind of like hero worship, and everyone's standing around waiting for him to do something, and it's like, well, how's that working out for some other teams that don't have that issue, they don't have that type of balance, and on the other side of the ball, they literally played balanced. I didn't even know, I couldn't even tell you who the quarterback was in some ways. They were just basically lining up 11 players, and it was so the Steelers first place for a minute. We'll see how it lasts, but I think the Ravens have to wake up and say, okay, I need to balance this out more, because it can't be just Lamar coming in at the last minute and saving the day.
Yeah, well, I think what the Steelers have in their favor is that.
By the way, you notice I call him Lamar. We're like we're buddies. He's like
you're right. Yeah. It's like my homie Lamar.
My homie Lamar. Yeah.
But I think the thing the Steelers have going for them is the division, is the fact that the AFC North is just going to beat the bags off of each other, and the whole division's going to be right around like 9-8.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, a 10-7 team's going to win that division.
So they do have that, but I do think this is a big, moral / confidence victory for the Steelers. I think they've been hanging in some games in the past first couple weeks, and I think to come in and put up a win like this against the Ravens with and put up a stout defense and hold them to 10 points gives them that, like, okay, we are them, we can do this. I think they're going to be interesting going forward. I do.
I do.
All right, my next headline game I've got, it was a headline game going in, and then like kind of not so much a headline game coming out, was the Sunday night game where the Cowboys got absolutely throttled by the 49ers, 42-10. Dak had like 3 interceptions. I take that back. Not only did he have 3 interceptions, he had 3 interceptions on 3 consecutive drives. Even better. I'll one up you on 3 consecutive passes. Not drives, the 3 passes. I was like, that's hard to do, by the way. So, this alludes to what you had just mentioned when you lumped the Bills in with the Cowboys. I'm not even doing that. The Cowboys, to me, you just can't lose like this.
Well, here's the thing. The Cowboys are as maddening. And by the way, I'll take the hit on this one too, because I literally felt if the Cowboys were really going to be a team, this was the week to sneak in a win, a big statement win like this. And, San Francisco's rolling along. No one's paying attention, really. All of a sudden, the Niners played the most impressive game of the whole season. They were just not even regarding the Cowboys in any way. Michael Parsons could have been like at brunch. It was so ridiculous. It was, Brock Purdy looked like Peyton Manning. It was, I don't know what is happening with that team, but for that team to still be, are they still in first place? In second place behind the Eagles? Probably. Right?
They've got to be, right? Yeah. The Commanders are.
So but it's such a divide. It's such a gulf between the Niners and Eagles and everyone else in that conference. It's not even funny. The Lions to me are the only thing that's happening besides those 2 teams. So those 3 are the top. Yeah, your Lions, your mighty Lions, are roaring to life. And by the way, and frankly, in the game they lost, they shouldn't have lost. The Lions, they could have easily been undefeated up to this point. Yeah. So, so I'm off the Cowboy train big time. Actually, do Cowboys have trains, or do they have like wagons or something? Horses. It's horses. I'm off the Cowboy horse.
Horse-drawn carriages. You mentioned him in passing, and it's a travesty that we haven't brought him up more. But when do we start throwing Brock Purdy in the MVP candidate in the conversation?
Well, when I wake up enough to even notice him, but he's not hurting himself. He's not throwing picks. He's churning along. He's like this, just kind of efficiency. He's like the last piece of a Lego set that you built. You go, oh, there it is. But they don't get the credit. But without that piece, it's a terrible type of creation.
Yeah.
He has great stats. He's very steady. I can't even think of his voice. I can't even hear his voice in my head. He doesn't get any press. He doesn't do any interviews. I've heard more from like the offensive lineman in San Francisco than I have from him. So, I don't know. Let's wait to the bye. Thanksgiving's a good time for us to assess all that stuff. But I think Brock Purdy is looking rock solid. Definitely top 3 contender right now for MVP.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to find. I know he.
My question is he the MVP of his own team? Is McCaffrey more of a candidate for MVP than he is?
Yeah, that's true. That's obviously a great point. Like McCaffrey's kind of a
and McCaffrey,
in his own right.
He's like, he looks like a Chris Hemsworth, So that helps, and the NFL for marketing to the Swifties now that we all know they're fascinated by football.
So I looked it up just because I was curious because this is kind of coming to top of mind as we speak. So I'm looking it up. Obviously, Brock Purdy doesn't put up a billion yards, like the flashy quarterbacks do. But he's leading the league in quarterback rating at 123. The second one is Tua, who is a full 11 points behind him. And he's leading in QBR with 83.6, with Josh Allen behind him at 78. So he's leading the league in all comparative and stats there.
But what's interesting also that the Eagles QB is not among the top 2 or 3 when they're also undefeated, which is interesting. It tells me that Brock is taking it more on. He's taking it more on himself than the Eagles are more balanced in their approach.
Yeah, the Eagles don't impress me as much as the 49ers do.
No, the Niners are by far head and shoulders right now the best team in football.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll take it further. You just give me 1 second. I did my own power rankings because now I'm officially a computer, and I've in the world of AI and bots, I decided, you know what? An RPF computer is exactly what the world needs. So I plugged myself in. Don't ask questions. I plugged myself in, and I said, tell me, put all the processes, put all the factors involved, put all the issues that are factored into the power rankings. And I did the top 5. Number 5 are the Chiefs. Number 4, the Lions. Number 3, the Dolphins. Number 2, the Eagles. And number 1, the Niners. How surprised was I that NFL Network and The Athletic have exactly the same order I do. So I'm officially a computer. I want to make sure that you know that. So I am. What you're looking at is the AI version of me.
That was way too long of a story for you to just say that you're a computer.
I'm just saying, just the RPF model will be available for Christmas.
Okay. Yes. All right. All right, let's move on. Let's just real quick wrap up the rest of the week's games. There's nothing really of note out of the rest of them. I lay it off with your Dolphins, 31 over the Giants. I know you want to talk about them, but there's really nothing to talk about. They beat the Giants.
They
beat the Giants.
Well, this morning there is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
they lost Devon, right? Devon?
Well, Devon Achane. Achan. Achane. Anyway, and it's Devon Achane has been, if you guys don't know, he's been the rookie running back that is setting the world on fire. He's the Dolphins players. I love the next gen stats. The 7 fastest plays this season in the NFL were all Dolphin players. I don't know if you saw the cutaway on the sidelines having Achane, Waddle, and Tyreek Hill just arguing about who's faster. And they're all kind of like, Hill actually is number 1 with 22.1 miles an hour going down the field. Yeah. Anyway, but Achane's like, but I was jogging, and it was very funny. The point is that Achane, 200 more yards, essentially, he's leading the NFL in rushing, and he is out for at least 4 weeks. And possibly today will go on the IR, which is ordinarily, and I can't believe I'm saying this, the Dolphins who've never had a running back since Larry Zonka, essentially since Ricky Williams, there hasn't been this impact type of runner. So all of a sudden, our dream, our rookie sensation is down. That would have been the end of the season any other year since I've been alive. Yep. This year we have Mostert, and he's actually been steady as he goes, 100 yards a game, other running back. So we have, in a weird way, no one's in a panic because we have that offense. We have obviously those weapons, but it's the 1 year in my history of a Dolphins fan that a devastating loss like this. And the good news is it looks like he's not going to be more than 4 weeks out, and so whatever. So anyway, so the point is that I think that the Dolphins looked. I mean, they look good. I mean, again, they're playing the Giants, so I guess
I know they do. This is why I don't know. Headline. I know. Today's headline: the Dolphins look good and they're not.
I can't wait. I can't wait till next week's podcast when we play the mighty Panthers. We play so we deserve these 2 weeks to kind of get our stuff together, and then we get into the thick of it. Yeah,
and we deserve these 2 weeks to not have to talk about the Dolphins.
Okay,
not playing anyone.
Oh, listen, Bill Belichick is still going to be talked about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know he's coming. All right, then heading down, we got the Colts beat the Titans, which is great for the Colts, but nothing to write home about here.
We called it. We both thought that would happen.
23-16. The Saints beat somebody. The Texans lost 19-21 to the Falcons. Yeah, kind of how you would see it panning out.
Kind of, yeah.
Bengals, finally they showed up, put some points on the board, beat the Cardinals, who they were supposed to beat, so nothing to write home about there. The Jets beat the Broncos 31-21, kind of exactly what you expected between two basement teams. Actually, I can't even say basement teams because the Jets are better than the Patriots.
The Jets are in the mezzanine. The Jets are in the mezzanine.
This is so bad.
Although it's even worse. The Patriots beat the Jets and they're still in last place.
That's right. Oh, good God!
So, is that even a tiebreaker?
Not a shock. The Chiefs beat the Vikings, but kind of shockingly, I think it was fairly close.
Again, to go back to that discussion we had earlier, in a sense that I mean, when Kelsey had that, late in the first half, he had that awkward catch that he couldn't step down, and he fell down without anyone touching him because I thought for sure it's a high ankle sprain or something. I was like, oh my God, this is it. And he toughed it out. He came back, but I mean, essentially, Mahomes and Kelsey are both playing off and on one leg, and is that going to be enough to really power through like past teams like the Eagles and the Dolphins and certainly the Niners? I mean, I don't know. The Chiefs are really have to take care of their health because they don't have anyone behind them to kind of carry on in any way. So
no, for sure. And then let's see.
Last game on. Quick aside, by the way, this was the first game that Taylor Swift in 2 games did not show up, which I know everyone is mostly concerned about.
Yeah.
And second of all, did you see the thing I sent you that the breakup song that Taylor Swift wrote?
Yeah.
About Kelsey. That was that was pretty.
Yeah. This is so. I mentioned like 2 episodes ago that I'm concerned this is all just a sham and they're just going to break up in a couple months anyway, and you're like beside yourself and like couldn't talk to me.
I was clutching my pearls. Yes, I was very upset. I was. How dare you? I'm a Swiftie and I'm a Kelsey fan. So.
All right. Well, last 2 games, we got my Detroit Lions putting up 42 against the Panthers 24.
They look good,
which they should have done. Yep. And then Monday night was the Packers dropping to the Raiders 17-13.
Where is the love? Oh my God.
Yeah, he didn't look good.
That's been my low key disappointment of the season. Besides Burrow being shocking, but now he's coming back.
Yeah.
Love looking so at first he was mediocre so far. He was bad on Monday night, man. He was. I mean, that's not NFL standards at all. It was just
hopefully it's just kind of
3 picks, 150 yards, and that's
I'm hoping it's just kind of rookie, spotlight Monday Night Football. It's his first time, in that.
Is he a rookie?
In that spotlight.
I mean, oh no.
Well,
maybe
first year starting.
Yeah.
But anyway, they dropped. So that wraps up our Week 5 recap. RPF, any shocks or surprises?
No. frankly, there wasn't. I mean, the whole NFL was shocked by the Bills. I wasn't. I called it. So that's the only shock that was there.
The only thing I have, and it goes back to my Patriots. It's shocking. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that they're this bad. I really. I
mean, 34-0 at home against the Saints.
I always operated with the assumption that, you know, no matter who we have out there, we can scratch and claw something. I'm not even say win. I'm not even upset that we lost this weekend.
But lose 24-21, yeah.
Yeah, right.
But I thought the Patriots were mediocre. I didn't know they were just crushing me bad. Yeah. Awful. Well, they also there's no way out. I don't see any where's the way out of this? Where are the playmakers? Where are the, anyway.
I don't know. Let's move on. Let's look ahead. We got week 6 coming up. We've got some great games coming up. It starts Thursday night with the Broncos and Chiefs, which is not a great game. I didn't mean to preface that with that.
What's I'm like, dude, get higher standards. What the Next up we have the Panthers and the Broncos in a scintillating matchup. Oh my god. I'm not even talking about that game. How's that?
I meant the whole slate that's coming. We got some good games coming.
It's a good game because the Broncos always gives everyone the platform to really be good. The opposing teams to really showcase their talent. So that should be fun.
Right. So what will be interesting is, by all accounts, right, this should be a 28-7 win for the Chiefs, or something along those lines. It should be a very handily 2-touchdown win for the Chiefs.
With lots of cutaways to Taylor in the box, cheering him on.
Right, it's prime time. It's Thursday night.
Yeah.
And then Sunday morning, we've got another morning matchup over in London. We've got the Ravens taking on the Titans, which should be a good game, I think.
Good is the operative word. I mean, good is. I think it should be interesting.
Competitive.
Yeah,
when I say a good game, I mean
I won't say even further. It's not even competitive. It's going to be close. I don't know how competitive it is. In a sense, it's not going to be like high level quality. It's going to be probably like scratchy stuff.
Well, all right. Well, but that's what I define competitive as.
That's a close game.
Close game. Yeah.
Potato. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or bangers and mash. I don't know.
Who are you taking?
I guess I would take the Ravens off the cuff here. I haven't given it much thought yet, but yeah, I guess I would give it to the Ravens. And then we get into the 1 o'clocks. We've got the Commanders Falcons. And then we've got Seahawks Bengals.
Interesting.
Next on, very interesting game. Very interesting indeed.
Are the Bengals the Cowboys? Or are they the Lions?
Have they righted their ship this past weekend with the 34 points against the Cardinals? Or was
not
it
the point? They look good though. Remember, even when the Bengals won before, they looked like shit, and Burrow looked terrible.
Oh, God. Yeah, awful. Yeah.
No, they looked awful. The Bengals looked like. I mean, Burrow was like popping in that pocket. He looked like, oh shit, he's back. He probably got tired of reading what happened to Joe Burrow, including here.
Clearly he listens to our show, and
that's exactly right. We helped him out.
and he's had enough, and he goes over and he watches the YouTube video where in the headlines I put paging Joe Burrow. So clearly he's a fan of the show, obviously, and he's had enough of our shit talk.
I will not become Aaron Rodgers of this season. I'm not writing any manifesto or watching. I
have that game asterisk as a game to watch. The next game I have here is a game to watch as well. This is a division matchup between the both 3-2 Colts take on the Jaguars.
Yeah.
And so this is both teams sitting at 3-2. This is for both of them. They are almost identical as far as where they are. In their
the Colts are over-exceeding.
Journeys.
The Jags are a little bit under-exceeding their expectations, even though the Bills.
For each of them, this game is okay. Who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Who are you going to be?
This is like let's say who straps it on tighter and say who's going to say who and who's going to win this game, because they're both, like you said. I think as matchups go, even like taking the matchups, the tight end to the linebacker, who they're all evenly matched here, I think.
Yep. And just to be clear, before anyone gets too excited, straps it on refers to the shoulder pads and the tying on the cleats, I think.
Okay. We'll go with your version of that.
And then we got your Dolphins 4-1 taking on the 0-5 Panthers.
This is the game of the week. If the Dolphins don't score 42 points, is this a disappointment? That's the question I have.
Yeah, kind of.
kind of.
I mean, it's not a disappointment.
Achan's out though.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you. In all honesty, under 30, I would say is a disappointment.
Oh yeah, I mean, we have to crack. I mean, in the 20s, no, I'd be like, I'll be calling for the removal of Coach McDaniel of this 28.
I would say right in the middle is a disappointment. 35 is a disappointment. Under 35.
I think
5 touchdowns that should be
and a field goal. Let's do 38-14. Let's call it that. Okay, that's good enough.
All right, then we've got 2 1-4 teams. The Vikings taking on the Bears. That's
man, right? Is it? I think it's kind of interesting to see if there's any hope at all. If there's any life with the Vikings, they have to just obliterate the Bears. The Bears have come back to life. They won the first game. Are they just going to ride that high?
Here's to me, week five hits that cutoff for us. So teams that are 1-4, I don't think you have a shot. Teams that are 2-3, I think you still have a shot. You know what I mean?
So the Bengals had to win in our estimation in order to be a contender again, and they are.
Well, if my point is, if they had lost this past week,
right,
lost to go to 1-4, I'd be like,
right, exactly, it's over, right? Yeah,
it's too much. So the Vikings, I've written them off this year, and the Bears as well. I just
the Bears. Yeah.
Could they turn it around and get some moral victories down the stretch? Sure, but are they making the playoffs? I don't think so.
Do you think in history a Vikings ever seen a bear?
Well, I might depend on what kind of bear.
It was Indigenous Peoples Week this week. So did anyone with blonde hair ever encounter a bear?
I'm sure they encountered a polar bear.
Are there bears in other parts?
Well, the Vikings came over to Greenland and made their way down like into Canada.
Also, they probably even married a bear.
Yeah,
in some cases.
Yeah, they skinned him and wore him. Anyway.
Okay.
After that, we've got our 5-0 49ers taking on the 2-2 Browns. Listen.
No.
At this point, any week for the 49ers is going to be a snooze fest until they play either the Lions, the Eagles, or the Dolphins.
Chiefs, Dolphins.
Do they play the Dolphins?
Who?
I don't think so. The Niners. They don't play the Dolphins.
Last year we did. No, this year we don't.
So until they play anyone like even remotely, like not even remotely, anyone in the top 5. If you're power ranked 6 and below and you're playing the 49ers,
that's exactly my point. of RPF computer power rankings. Right. The top 5 teams in the RPF computer rankings, they all have the easiest games of the week. So there should be no movement whatsoever in the RPF computer rankings.
We need a name for the RPF computer. We need to come up with a name for that.
The Mac Pappy. PAPI. Mac Pappy. And
then our last 1 o'clock game is the Saints taking on the Texans.
The mighty Saints. The mighty Saints. I think honestly, I think the Texans may pull this off, but it could be a mild upset.
Yeah. 4 o'clock. We've got the team from New England taking on the Raiders. And at this point,
I don't care about this game again.
I don't either. But at this point, I think Josh McDaniels is finally going to have his day of look at me, and I told you.
Unless he goes for 4th and 17 from his own 11 or something in the first quarter. I mean, he may do that. So
very true. Very true. And then I've got another asterisk game. The only one I have asterisks on the 4 o'clock slates for me, at least, is the 4-1 Lions. My Lions, taking on the 3-1 Bucks. So the Bucks were on a bye last week. That's why we haven't talked about them much on this show. And they went into their bye on a good win. Got a chance to regroup, rest up. So I'm very, very curious to see how the Bucks come out of this bye week and whether they come out hitting the ground running, or whether they stumble against the Lions.
This is the game of the week, because if the Bucks didn't have the bye week, if they had some sort of beat up game where they barely scratched the win, and they're playing the Lions right away, the fact that they had a week. They had a week to literally just take a look at the Lions. Like, what's happening here? And they watched the game in real time on Sunday to kind of assess. And the Lions showed off all their weapons, or a lot of them, and their tricks and everything. So I think this is potentially a really amazing game that the Lions might be surprised that it's 24-24 in the fourth quarter or something. And I think the Lions eventually find a way, but Goff hasn't been historically that great when it's like the game's on the line. So if the Bucs can keep it close going into the fourth quarter, upset special.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe, but don't talk about my Lions like that. After that, we got the 1-4 Cardinals taking on the 2-3 Rams. It's a bit of a snooze fest.
Rams will win. Yeah.
Unless you're a Puka Nacua fan, then you might want to tune in.
Oh my God! Did you see how good was his first touchdown? Did you see that?
He's awesome, man.
Oh man, that hair.
He's my player bandwagon for the year.
Man, that Nacua, yeah, he is.
And then the last game, the 4 o'clocks, the Eagles, 5-0 Eagles are taking on the 2-3 Jets. This should be a piece of cake for them.
Yeah,
you never know.
At New York, though, and the Eagles and Jets fans are like they have a special loathing of each other because people don't realize geography, but Philly and New York City are literally an hour and a half away, and it kind of like it's almost like Baltimore and DC kind of thing. Right. So it's a very intense rivalry, and both fan bases are what's the word? Complete assholes. So they literally they drink too much. They don't read any books, not enough books, any books, and they literally just hate each other. So and this game is at 4 o'clock. So meanwhile, they've been drinking and pre-gaming all game. So the action's going to be in the bleacher behind the end zone when they're going to be beating each other up. So that's going to be interesting to watch.
Right.
Keep an eye out for that.
They just get drunk and fight over whose green is better. I don't know.
No, this is the equivalent of some sort of
better.
This is the equivalent of some soccer game in Bula Bula, England, that no one's heard of, and all of a sudden the stands collapse and there's like a stampede. This is the American sanitized version of that.
And then our Sunday night game, the 1-4 Giants taking on the 3-2 Bills. Listen, the Bills they lost the Jaguars, but I don't foresee that.
If the Bills don't win by 4 touchdowns, this is
quite the
problem.
Anomaly. And then Monday night we've got Cowboys Chargers. Listen, Cowboys, like this should be your game. It should be.
No, but Chargers look good. I like the Chargers.
But I have no idea.
Yeah.
This actually, you know what? The more I think about it, I don't have this game listed as one to watch, but this could turn into something spectacular to watch.
Yeah.
We've got 2 teams on a bye. We've got the Packers and Steelers. They get to take a little break. Good for the Steelers. They get a great win off the Ravens. They get to go rest up.
Do you know who they play next? That's interesting. That'll probably be interesting to
I don't
figure
know,
out.
Let's
because I think the bye weeks are so important, and early bye weeks are really more important in some ways.
I can do that quickly. I can do the Rams. They play the Rams on week 7.
That's a marquee game. Is that a showcase game or a 4 p.m.
That's
one?
4 o'clock.
That's good. That's a good game for CBS if they have that.
Yeah. That's a good one. All right. That rounds up our week 6 look ahead. Any big bold predictions for you, RPF?
No, I said the RPF computer, the Mac Poppy has said the top 5 teams are going to coast to all 5 victories. It's going to be the same top 5. This is a new rule. We'll just talk about other teams, but the top 5 Poppy, the RPF Mac Poppy computer rankings should be the ones we kind of focus on. In my opinion. And they include your mighty lions, your plush toy lions.
Don't you talk about them like that. All right, I have a big bold prediction, and it was something that you teased a little bit earlier. And it's actually not about like week 6 in particular, but it's about the season in particular. And if this season continues the way it does for the Patriots, I do predict that Bill Belichick will not be the coach next year.
But you think he'll step down?
I think it'll be. I think it'll be because of his history with the team. And this is what I was trying to get to before, and I wanted to save it till now. I think because of his history as one of, if not the greatest coach of all time, I think there is a level of respect between the two sides to where I don't think it's a hey, you're fired. I think it's a hey, we need to move in separate ways, and you know they have Bill Belichick Day and blah 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 blah. You know,
right. They give him the Tom Brady send off type of
yes.
deal.
They give him a send off, but I do if it continues this way. So if it continues and we, you know, I mean, good Lord, what if we have the first pick in the draft?
Well, is Nick Saban your next coach? Is Nick Saban your next coach?
No, he already tried the NFL stuff. I don't.
With Miami, I don't have to remind you.
I don't know. I'm not ready to start talking about who's next because there's like. So let me be clear. This still has to keep trending in this horrible direction. Like there's still a chance.
Oh, I know who. Deion Sanders. That'll be fun. Coach Prime.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. And with the first pick in the draft, he takes his own kid.
His own son.
Oh
my God.
That's too much.
Can we call this bold predictions? Can we call it now? Next season, it opens the first game of the season on Sunday Night Football on Thursday. It's gonna be at New England with Coach Prime as the head coach with his son as the starting quarterback in the NFL.
Oh my God.
And they'll lose by 71 points to top the Miami game.
But no,
Oh
so listen, they're 1-4 right now. So what they got, they have 12 games left. They have 12 games left. Like if they can, so let's throw out the first 5 games. Okay. If you can go 6-6 for the rest of the season,
yeah.
I think Bill sticks around. He's like, okay, hang on. There's still stuff here. Like we can still, but whatever. But if it keeps going the way it's going and we end up 2-15 or maybe even 3-14.
He has to win 5 games, I think, total to stick around.
Yeah, jeez, I might even. Yeah,
I mean, 5-12. I mean, 12. It's not a good look. I don't see.
4 out of the next.
I saw your schedule. I don't see where the wins come from. Frankly, I just don't.
I know. Well, we're the worst team in the league, so we're underdogs.
You play yourself. The offense plays the defense in practice. The last time we won.
Oh man.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna get out of football. Before we get out, I'm gonna get into baseball. Is there anything
football, I want to just not NFL, but I do have a football moment.
Yes.
You want to do it now or later?
Your Saturday night. You tease us with a Saturday night gripe.
And it didn't involve my personal life, which is usually what I'm complaining about on Saturday night. So it's not that. It was not that. So are we talking about it now, or you want to wait till later?
Well,
okay. I think
because I think I know what it is, but you didn't tell me.
You have to know. I didn't tell you, but you have to know because it's honestly, for me to put Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce in the back of my brain for even 10 minutes, because it's all I think about in every way. That it scintillates, it fires every single neuron in my brain on all sides of it, the pop culture and the football. I watched on DVR, so I resisted the phone, didn't know what was happening in the game, and I watched the entire game when I got home from dinner without any interference from my family or from friends or anyone texting me, so I had the block on, So I watched the game. This is the Miami Hurricanes football. The U. And for those who don't know, I actually haven't even mentioned the U this season. I didn't want to jinx it because every year I get excited and overhyped, and then they lose the games, and it's like, this year the Dolphins and the U were both undefeated at the same time. Into the fourth week of the season for both of them, and I'm thinking, okay, the U is overperforming. The coach is this Cuban guy named Mario Cristobal, who was very, very successful elsewhere. He came to Miami last year. He started the impact, but he didn't fulfill his promise. This year, everything was firing on all cylinders. So, okay, they're 3-0. So I'm watching the game in Miami, and the game's going along, and we're playing too close to the Georgia Tech. They've lost 3 games out of 5 or something, so they're not that good. And sure enough, whatever. The Canes are giving them reason to hang around. But the game's coming to a close, blah, 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 fourth quarter. All of a sudden, they have a big stop. They fail on fourth down. So now Georgia has to, we take over the ball on downs. There's 33 seconds left. And I'll say this slowly because I want people to understand. And I'm giving Josh McDaniel my apologies, because even last week, I thought Josh McDaniel could not be more boneheaded in some of his decisions. But this is a team I revere. I love the University of Miami Hurricanes. 3 of my siblings, of my only 3 siblings, all attended this school. I literally grew up hearing Howard Schnellenberger and the whole U and everybody, Jimmy Johnson and the whole era, Michael Irvin, all these people. Bernie Kosar, don't sleep on Benny, or Vinny Testaverde, all that quarterback U. Anyway, so I'm sitting here watching this game. It's at this point 1:30 in the morning because there's nobody, it's watching it on DVR, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm about to turn it off, and I literally have my thumb on the remote, and I see them huddle, and I'm like, there's 33 seconds left. I'll say this slowly with all the love in my heart: take a fucking knee. I literally, first, It does not compute in my brain that he's not taking a knee. It's
Yep.
literally 1st and 10 with 33 seconds left. Get your ass on the ground and shake hands with the coach. They run a running play. Well, it gets much worse. They run a running play. The runner, of course, I'll say this slowly, of course, fumbles the effing ball. The ball's on the ground. And Georgia Tech has not moved the ball the entire second half. They still have 73 yards to go for a touchdown. And they have no time left. They had like 21 seconds left.
Yeah.
So what did they do? They score a fucking touchdown.
Oh, man. Mm-hmm.
I could tell you, first of all, I would have mental health experts in that locker room instantly. I would have like the Dr. Fraser Crane everywhere. I would have psychiatrists at every locker. Like you have your cleats, you have your towel, and you have a doctor, because that's going to be what it takes to survive this. And first of all, after the press conference, it was like, yeah, it's my decision, whatever.
Okay, I was just going to ask you what I didn't.
No,
hear
so yesterday, he took complete accountability and said, "This is completely on me." And here's the worst part: he's done it before with the same result. I think it was Stanford up there, and he lost the game the same way just a few years ago. What the actual F is happening to that man's brain? He literally ruined the entire season for this team that was undefeated, zooming along, getting into the conference part of their schedule to kind of compete for final weekend.
Yep.
Now it's all gone. Is this? My question is, and this is a coach I like from my motherland, who is literally stepping up and doing great things. And what type of aneurysm unless he had a stroke, unless he's diagnosed as a stroke, there's no excuse. He has to be gone. There's no other reason for this.
I'm sorry. Report. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
McDaniel is no longer talked about as any. Sure, he goes for 4th down. And,
yeah.
Anyway,
I was just kind of I scroll through headlines, just sports headlines in general, because I don't really follow college football a whole lot.
33 seconds left.
Yeah, no, I know. So I'm scrolling. I forget what the headline was, but it was like, it was
the worst play in college football history.
Yeah, kind of. I forget, but I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, what? Oh, well, what? Well, why would he do that? Well, wait, wait. There's got to be a reason. Wait, hang on. Let me read further. There's an explanation for this." And I was like, reading. I'm like, "Nope. There's no explanation. There's no reason for that."
And here's the thing: he took accountability, but I want to know what clicked in his brain, saying, "Okay, let's run with a running back that's like prone to fumble." I mean, it wasn't even like I don't even understand. It wasn't like a rollout and then the quarterback just falls down. It was just a running play.
Yeah. Could be one of the all-time bonehead moves.
Not all-time. It is I can't think of anything else worse.
Well, I'm sure
short of
title game.
Yeah. Or short of the other hurricane blow up in history was the what's his name? Who's the tiny quarterback that you guys had in the 90s? Doug Flutie, when he came back with the Boston College Eagles and he threw a bomb, Hail Mary to beat the Hurricanes. But he was like the Bucky effing Dent type of situation for the Miami for the U. And Doug Flutie talk about good hair. He had some rad hair too.
That he did. Yes, awful tragedy. I don't know.
Killed the season killer. Season
killed. So long. See you later. We're gonna move on to baseball. We've got a couple.
Speaking of which, season killers. Oh my God.
We've got about 10 minutes left. So baseball. If you tuned into last week's episode, RPF and I went ahead and gave our predictions of who's gonna win. Who's going to win what? And we started with the first round, and there are a couple things happened. Not only were we wrong in every series except for one of them, they were all sweeps.
It wasn't even close. It wasn't even like it was like 11-2. In case to put a fine point on it, we were really, really, really off.
So we got the Rangers over the Rays, the Twins over the Jays, the D-backs over the Brewers, and the Phillies. The Phillies over the Marlins is the only ones that both you and I agreed upon, and we had predicted that one. But the other ones were kind of shocks to us. The the biggest shock, I think, and I feel bad now that in hindsight, was probably the Twins over the Jays. And the reason I say I feel bad is because as far as bandwagon jumping goes, I realized that I should be a Twins fan. Shout out to my former college teammate, Derek Falvey, who is, I believe, the VP of operations for the Twins.
Oh.
Yeah. I completely blanked on that one.
Are we moving our podcast to Minnesota?
Oh, we should. We'll see if they get past this round. I'll throw a shout out and see if we can get a live broadcast from Target Field. Is it still Target Field? I think it is.
It's like whatever. It's like Bitcoin.com field on.
So at any rate, we got that recapped. We did terrible in the first round predictions. However, going forward, we now have the Rangers versus the Orioles and the D-backs versus the Dodgers. And the crazy thing, so we had the Orioles and the Dodgers both with 100 wins, waiting in the wings to see who they're going to play. And they get these upsets from the D-backs and the Rangers. And like, okay, let's play them. And now both the Orioles and the Dodgers are sitting at 0-2 in their series, headed on the road.
One game away from elimination, headed to Texas and to Arizona, respectively. And I'm like, what is happening in MLB playoffs right now? I'll tell you what's happening.
Okay, I can't wait.
Okay, first of all, on the good news side, baseball, like we talked about before, fixed itself. They have the great clock now for the pitchers. Yes. They have the bigger base. They have the more exciting games. They definitely have that. They also have they fixed the playoffs. They really did. They kind of made it like very much like basketball and hockey. That's like it's the teams that are the highest that get the reward for the best records, and they kind of get a bye week and etc. Now, of course, everyone's screaming, "Oh, baseball's different. They should not get a bye week. They should be. This is how you do not reward these people." Look, this is how I feel. Baseball has the last 3-step process of fixing their game. They did the first 2 big ones already. The third step, and it's hugely controversial. I think we limit the regular season games to 100 games. Right now, it's currently 162 games. The problem is hockey, basketball. I think we should do 3 or 4 games a week for the season and have a marquee game on Wednesday that no one else plays, having the 2 teams that play. And then you have the game of the week. Then you have 100 games. Then you have the same format as hockey. Basketball has 82 games. Hockey has a similar amount of games. There's no reason to have 162 games. What is that about? I think it should be literally limited, start in May, end in September, and then you have a more concise type of season consistent with the other sports, and you don't have this breakdown of having 162 games, and then all of a sudden the best team sits out for 8 days trying to wait out. It's a controversial move, but I think 162 games is a long time to be interested in one sport to lose in 2 games,
So I do agree with you there. 162 games. And I've expressed this in the past. This is my gripe with baseball.
You don't even tune in until after the All-Star break.
I haven't played it, and I don't enjoy watching it because it's just like I can't do. This is why I love football. It's just it's Sunday. I watch the game, and then
that's my point.
I have the rest of the week. But the issue, the issue is when you start dialing back the number of games per week, you're gonna start eliminating jobs, and you're gonna start eliminating players. So if you're only playing 3 games a week, you're only gonna need 3 starting pitchers as opposed to 5.
It's a business. It's not. This is not a charity. I'm sorry. This is a business. Look, basketball has only 12 players on the team. How many talented players in college don't ever get play again? Because that's how it is. I'm sorry. That's the rule. That's the rule of the sport.
No, but I don't like it. I like the fact that you need that depth. I like the fact that you can't just have 3 absolute aces.
No, you carry 12 pitchers, but you have 3 or 4 starters.
But there's no reason to carry 12 pitchers if you're only
you're not
going to have 9 guys in the bullpen.
You want to have a whole Backstreet Boys backup band just waiting for. I think the to me in football and in every sport, best players play. Period, and that's it. in soccer you have that. In every sport you have that. Why do we carry 26-man roster? Because you have to play 100. You play half the year every game. It's a lot. It's a preposterous process.
Well, so here's my thing: is the season's long. So what I'm saying is, rather than reduce the number of games per week, reduce the season length, and then maybe do
and double up on games during the week.
I mean, you could still do if you did 5 games a week, you'd still have to get away with 5 starting pitchers.
I mean,
because you wouldn't be able to come back in time.
No, I know, I understand that, but anyway, we won't fix baseball right now. But that's to me, it's twice as long as it should be, in my opinion.
It's too long. I agree with you on that. I don't like I like that they play. I like the Iron Man side of it. I like that they play so frequently.
Well, then you can't have it both ways, then.
Have what both ways?
I mean, you can't have a shorter season, really, unless you kind of destroy the team. I mean, unless you destroy every single player that had to play 6 games a week. I mean, that's a long time to play in the summer, you know. Anyway, whatever.
I'm confused.
So, anyway. I know. The point is that baseball is upset special. I think the only team that's looking. By the way, last night, I know we're recording this on Tuesday. Last night, the Braves were on the brink. Also, by the way, they were down.
Yeah,
one game in the late innings, and they pulled out a couple home runs and that amazing double play to end the game.
Yep.
That is to me, the Braves are going to say, okay, wait, they just woke up. Now they're going to, I think, in my opinion, obliterate everyone else in their path because all the big heavy hitters are no longer in play. Just about. So, can the Dodgers come back?
They can.
Can the Orioles come back? You know,
I do think they can. So the Dodgers. I mean, listen, they're a really good team. So can they go to Arizona and win 2 games? They can, and then if they get back to, actually, I think their last game in Arizona, I think Clayton Kershaw would be able to come back. I know he didn't. He didn't start well. I understand.
That was just hard to watch too.
But here's the thing. I also feel like part of Clayton Kershaw's issues might be pitching at home. The pressure of pitching at home in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, it's true. He actually has a much better record away from home.
So I think if I'm not mistaken, if they win this first game against the Diamondbacks in Arizona, he gets to come back for Game 4. So they'd be down 1-2. Correct. He gets to come back for Game 4 in Arizona. I think he's a completely different Kershaw on the road.
Did you see the manager? They asked him if Kershaw is going to be a starting pitcher. He's like, "What's the next question?" He was so annoyed. Of course he's going to. Clayton Kershaw. He's talking about. Of course he's.
And then it goes back to L.A. tied 2-2 in that scenario. So and then it's anyone's game.
I mean, I think the Orioles are less likely to come back. I think the Dodgers.
I think the Orioles are way less likely to come back. They're young. They don't.
They can't believe they're there.
I think I think they are in shock that they're down 0-2. I
agree.
They're young. They thought they didn't think they were going to sweep, but they thought, we won 100 and something games this year. We're gonna,
They started to believe their own press, probably.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
But and then the Twins are 1-1 with the Astros. Twins I think they won the last one, right? They were.
Yeah.
So they've got some momentum going into Minnesota, which is great. Real quick on the Braves, everyone's harping on, and I can't believe I'm defending Bryce Harper right now. Everyone's giving Bryce Harper a hard time for that game-ending double play. So he was on first. There was one out.
Did you just say they're harping on Harper?
I didn't. I was about to, and then I caught it.
Editor.
So he was on. It was the bottom of the ninth. They were down by 1 run. He was on first base with 1 out, and there was a hit to the wall. To the wall, not the warning track, to the wall.
No, it was really,
and he caught, Harper took off. The guy caught it, and they got the tag at first base. They doubled him up at first base. And everyone's giving Bryce Harper a hard time for like, oh my gosh, he wasn't even tagging, blah, 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 this and that. And I'm like, in that scenario, I don't know that I don't blame him. I don't think he was supposed
I completely
to.
Agree with you. He literally, if he only got to third base or even second base from that wall hit, he would have been criticized for that.
Right. He read the ball off the bat as it's going to hit the wall, and if it hits the wall and caroms and I'm already busting my ass. I can score and tie this game right now.
And be the hero, yeah.
And well, not necessarily be the hero, but I think he's smarter than that. I mean, mind you, that Castellanos is the 6 hitter, so you got 7, 8, 9 coming up.
Yeah.
So let's say he tags, the guy catches it, so now he's at first base with 2 outs with the 7, 8, 9 hitters coming up.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I would have been halfway down to. I would have been on third base.
Yeah,
I would have been like with Manny Ramirez just hanging out on third.
I caught that this morning on a couple of the sports talk shows that I listened to early in the morning, and they were really, and listen, not for nothing, but it was a bunch of NFL guys. It was a bunch of non-baseball players. What was he doing? What was he thinking? This and that. And I want to clarify that I think that was actually the right move as a base runner in that scenario.
Sorry, I just had a thought from earlier. I just came up with the best Stephen King novel.
Oh,
Take a Knee. Take a Knee is the title of the horror novel. Okay. I'm sorry.
What a very interesting segue into something.
I just had this thought, like, Stephen King, you owe me. This is all. What's more horrifying than what Mario Cristobal did to the hurricane? Okay, sorry. All right. I'm still trying to exorcise his demon from me.
I suppose on that note, we should wrap this up here. Going forward for MLB playoffs, we record on Tuesdays. There's American League plays tonight. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, both leagues are playing. So there's 4 games tomorrow. And then they alternate back and forth. As this all gets wrapped up on Sunday to start the next round or Saturday to start the next round on Sunday. So everything should start shaking out to that round. I
have one last thought, if you don't mind.
You have one last thought, and then so I got one too. Also, real quick, the NHL starts tonight.
That's my thought.
Look at that. Vegas. I've got 2 notes here. Vegas has hardly lost any players, so without further notice, I think they're on notice to be the contending favorites again. And then keep your eye out for Connor Bedard, the Blackhawks.
You stole my thunder.
Yeah. Keep your eye out for Connor Bedard. He is the new it kid of the NHL, 18 years old, with the Blackhawks.
Baby Gretzky. Connor Bedard is my first thought.
The only thing I hate, and I feel like hockey does this more than any other sport, is they label these kids, and they label them the next so and so. I believe more than any other sport, and it's just so much pressure.
It is, but
like, can't you just say, hey, there's this really amazing player coming through.
Connor Bedard. Just think of Connor Bedard is the next Connor Bedard, and then we have on the NBA, which also starts in a minute, we have Victor Wembanyama, who is the other phenom rookie that's like 20 feet tall, and his first preseason game.
Easy buckets. He drops them straight. He just walks up.
He literally does. Since I remember when I was growing up, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was my nemesis because I loved the Celtics, and he was just like.
Did you play against him?
Yeah, he was.
You guys squared up on the court all the time.
We were the first recorded ever social media beef that we had with each other. Before social media, it was like a 2 cans and a string type of thing, but we were just really mad at each other. But I actually saw him in person, and I'm like, that's not fair. He's so tall, he can just put the ball down, And meanwhile, we had like the Celtics, all these white guys that were like 5'11" trying to fight with him. Anyway, but NBA, Wemby and Bedard in the NHL. The future looks really, really exciting for both those sports, and I think that's going to be people to watch. And I think on the NHL, I would give a slight favorite, even though the Golden Knights, I think that they're going to skip a year, and I think this is the year for the Carolina Hurricanes. Is that their name?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think they look really sharp and together. But anyway, I think going forward, the headline is Mario Cristobal owes an apology to the entire sporting world.
Well, and there you have it, Mario. If you're listening,
I'll tell you
what, Mario. If you're listening, you can join our show, which gets broadcast worldwide. You're bound to touch everyone.
Defend yourself on our podcast.
Hey, that's all the time we have this week on Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are well over an hour, so if you're still tuned in, God bless you. And I think we want to thank you.
They love us
tremendously. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, all the great platforms. You can find us socially over on Instagram and X, as well as our own dedicated YouTube channel. Just head to any of those platforms, type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF, and we'll pop right up for your listening pleasure. RPF?
Sir?
Until next time.
Bye.